Denodo Data Bites. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our latest episode of Denodo Data Bites. We are super excited to talk to you about how cloud is becoming more and more significant for business transformation based on the results from the 2022 Denodo Global Cloud Survey. Heading this discussion on our show today will be Syed Rasheed, Principal Product Marketing Manager at Denodo. Syed's area of expertise lies in software solutions management and product marketing, particularly in helping customers apply cloud-native technologies and practices for better business outcomes. He has more than 25 years of experience in the IT industry with extensive experience in software development, data management, integration, business analytics, and data science solutions delivery. Hi, Syed. Welcome to our show. We are very excited to speak with you today. I'm sure our listeners are eager to know more about today's topic as well. But before we move ahead, could you give us a quick introduction about yourself, your background in tech marketing, and your role at Denodo?
Thanks, Neha, for having me, and did a great introduction of myself. So I'm, as a technology strategist at Denodo, I coordinate marketing, product, and technology evangelism activities at Denodo. As you mentioned, I have been in the software industry for more than 25 years in the area of software development, data management, data integration, data analytics are the specific area that I've been focused on and privileged to work on. I've worked for lots of well-known vendors in this space, so I'm very familiar with this space. And in my free time, I volunteer for a nonprofit organization to apply technology to improve human experience and connection. That's all.
How wonderful. Thank you for sharing, Syed. So moving forward, could you tell us a bit about how cloud has become crucial for business transformation, especially in a post-pandemic era?
Cloud is as ubiquitous as IT nowadays, right? Cloud is a lot more like IT outsourcing than IT procurement. You know, in the old days, people used to buy servers and buy software and install and everything. Nowadays, cloud is more like an outsourcing model. You say, oh, I need this much compute, this much storage, this type of services installed on those things, and those things are available as a service. It's more like a outsourcing some part of what IT used to do. And the cloud survey validated this as the top two motivating factor to adopt cloud technologies are improving efficiency and on-demand performance and scalability, reported by 67% of the participants. And the second major factor was reducing data center maintenance and operation costs by outsourcing, server setups and, the purchasing cycle and setup of the software services on those things. That was reported by 60% of the participation. So that's where it's becoming. The other key part is as companies move beyond initial foray into the cloud, many companies are experiencing advantages and challenges because they are adopting, nobody's going 100% in public cloud. In fact, our survey reveals that 90% of the companies globally are actually operating in a combination of on-prem, public, private, hybrid, or multi-cloud environment. So, and that's because, guess what? Cloud is, as digitization continues and cloud lowers the barrier to the entry, you can build now, if you want to build a new application, you don't have to spend months in procuring the hardware and the storage and software and getting things set up. Nowadays, you can request a service and it's available. So it lowers the barrier. So that means people are creating a lot more applications. Those applications are generating a lot more data. So that's how, so cloud is bringing a lot of velocity. What used to take a lot longer is being done much, much easier, much more fast fashion.
Perfect. So I know you touched upon it a bit, but could you explain it further about what are the factors that are driving organizations to the cloud?
Well, the factors, as I already mentioned, is essentially to gain efficiency, becoming more focused on their core activities that generate value for the business instead of doing the task like server setup and things like that. Instead, people are more focused on building services, building applications, building analytics that actually drives business forward. How they're capturing a lot of data, how they're analyzing a lot of those data. So it's about cloud actually takes away a lot of tasks that were not adding value to the business. They were required to get things up and going, but cloud actually kind of takes care of those routine tasks, or not, those tasks that are essential but not differentiating. Now cloud actually allows you to focus more on activities that actually generates value. So it's about improving efficiency and reducing the cost, because even though you are doing a task of setting up servers, things like that, you are incurring cost. So IT used to be looked upon as a cost center, because that's an investment you have to make to gain some value. Now with cloud, a lot of cost is being absorbed by the cloud providers, and the businesses are now focused more on activities that drives business differentiation, competitive advantage. And so I guess the result is you reduce IT cost and you gain efficiencies. And those two things allow you to focus on your core business activities. So those are the main driving force. Another thing that we are seeing is how people are adopting cloud. There's no one cloud, right? There's Microsoft, Azure, there's AWS, Amazon AWS, there's Google, and there's many more clouds. But these are the major three, one in North America at least. People are, because these cloud are almost like a IT services. They offer variety of services, data services, databases, and things like that. So people are now actually, they are not choosing one cloud. They are actually choosing multiple clouds. Hey, Google is really good for data analytics tools. So I'm going to choose Google for that purposes. And I'm going to maybe use Azure Data Lake as my key repository. So essentially, people are choosing best of breed services from different clouds based on what they're trying to achieve and what they're doing. Now, it looks great on the paper, but when in reality, then you have to eventually because cloud, some people have the misconception that cloud is pre-integrated. It's not. Actually, cloud is very distributed in nature. It's a lot of different services that don't talk to each other. So you still have to do a lot of plumbing. So integration in general and data integration in particular is becoming more and more significant and more important as people are adopting cloud.
Perfect. Thank you for explaining that so well, Syed. So, how is cloud technology evolving to become a standard component of the modern data infrastructure, then, according to you?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, as digitization continues, cloud lowers the barrier. The movement for multiple cloud is increasing, because often our companies or organizations obtain best of breed cloud services from different cloud vendors. And so each vendor has its own architectural method. How each vendor organizes data could be incompatible with other cloud. So there are challenges, right? With this multi-cloud strategy, it gives you a lot of choices, but at the same time, it comes at the expense of you have to hook everything together. So which may result in early on, if people are doing it randomly, it may result in poor performance issues or higher than expected cost. Remember, I told you that the key drivers are improve efficiency and reduce cost, but the cloud is not picked with a strategy in mind, with a business-driven strategy on how to drive value from it. It can actually result in a very poor performance or loss of efficiency and higher cost. So the root cause of this challenge is when companies expand the number of services and applications they use in the cloud, their data grows also with it, right? And especially in cloud, people are adopting microservices. Microservices are kind of like mini applications. It's a single purpose application. So every application could have its own database. So now you have to actually aggregate data from multiple places. So essentially what happens is it's not the amount of data, it's actually the real issue is where data resides. It might reside in multiple places, multiple locations, and how it was collected and curated. What was the format used? Some applications store data as JSON, the other places it stores data as in relational format, tabular format, and things like that. So those things actually create challenges for companies. And that's what we label dispersed data created by multiple applications in multiple different formats and things like that. We call them data silos. Essentially, data silos, the key problem is they reduce data with usability. Not everybody can actually just go and automatically connect all the data together. So those are the type of deficiencies, those are the type of challenges that happens. This means having a data strategy and architecture addressing application and data spread over hybrid multi-clouds are essential for companies to keep data from becoming siloed and therefore not easily accessible to users and applications. So that's number one. Number two, a strong data strategy will focus on business transformation opportunities. They avoid locking to any particular cloud and the use of data ops, essentially a method to automate the preparatory work that's required by power users or data analysts or data scientists to drive the most actionable insight possible from the available data. So those are the two things that data strategy and architecture becomes critical, especially with the adoption of cloud.
Perfect. Thank you, Syed. Moving forward, could you discuss the key results from the 2022 Denodo Cloud Survey and how these results are applicable to organizations?
Yeah, so let's first dive into what were at least in my opinion, what were the top three findings. Number one was enterprise data is not confined to data centers. Hybrid data is a reality. So our survey revealed that organizations increasingly see data split between various clouds and on-premises system. In fact, I think on the survey, almost 74% of the respondents expect more than half of the data split between on-premise systems and cloud systems. The key implication is talk about data silos. Data silos actually becoming more prominent with the adoption of cloud. So essentially, before cloud era, we used to have mainframe systems and Unix systems, different types of systems that were not designed to talk to each other. And each of these systems where data was stored became a silo system. Same thing is happening on the cloud. Essentially, we have an emergence of cloud data silos. So different platforms use various systems using various storage technologies. And this data is not integrated. Remember, we talked about that cloud has different services. They may offer a variety of services, but each one of these services is kind of like sometimes are not designed to work together. So same thing happens there. So adopting cloud platforms may even heighten the data integration need and the challenges as companies deploy adopt more hybrid and multi-cloud strategy. Second, a key observation was the data volume is exploding because we have more services in the cloud, more applications running in the cloud. So data volume is exploding, but data utilization is low. In our survey, it reveals that almost every respondent realized how vital data is to business success. But 62% of the respondents say that more than half of the data collected remain untapped and unused. This is very, very, there's a lot of data being collected, but not more than half of it's not used or utilized to drive business forward, or it's not analyzed. And I actually would say that data that is not utilized to drive insights is a wasted asset, right? And the primary reason behind the low data utilizations are people don't know what data exists and who has what data. Number two, not everyone can access the data on their own. Some data is stored tabular format, but some data is stored in a different format, and not everybody knows how to access that data. So number three, data is not shared among groups. Number four is complexity and inflexibility of data integration technologies as well. And number five reason is difficulty to manage data security, governance, and so how to make data more open yet keep it more secure. So that's number two key observation, that data volume is exploding, but data utilization is low. Number three is change is hard and organization struggles with data-driven transformation. despite technology investment, the value is not being realized. It's not like companies are not investing in technologies, but they are not seeing the expected value or business value. So our survey reveals that more than 50% of the respondents also identified lack of leadership support as major obstacle. It's a kind of like status quo problem. We have been in business for 30 years and we are running it well. Why change now, right? Don't fix what ain't broken, right? But they're not realizing that your competitors might be adopting new digital technology. They might overshadow you very, very quickly, and without you. And if you're not ready, you will not survive. So the other part is the lack of team collaboration was also noted by our survey result. Almost 53% of the survey respondents said that lack of team collaboration is a big transformation challenge. So the conclusion is that it takes more than new technology platform alone to make the positive change to take place. In addition to technology solution, we need to ensure that people are using them and the process that are used to work, coordinate between teams and continuously improve business are in place. So it has to be an alignment between technology, people, and process.
So, how can organizations leverage cloud technologies in their data management, analytics, and data integration efforts? What are the steps?
Essentially, my guidance to our customers and prospect would be empower everyone in your organization to find, access, integrate, and share data securely. Everyone, not just IT, not just selected people, but make it easy. So focus on improving 4 key core capability. Ability to find the data, because organizations, as I mentioned, there's a low utilization of data because people have no visibility what data they have, right? So if you can improve and help people find the data that exists in an organization, that is really critical. Once you have found the right data, then provide them easy way to access the data, to tap into that data, to actually use that data, right? So that's number 2 capability. Data access is becoming critical and it needs to be widespread so that everybody, all knowledge workers can actually help themselves or at least get started on helping themselves. Then 3rd key capability is integration. We need to empower everybody with ease of use so that everybody can actually there's no such thing as you can find all the data you need for your analysis from one place. Usually you have to combine data from multiple places. So ability to combine data, to integrate data from multiple sources is also critical. So that's the 3rd key capability. And then the 5th capability is then able to share the data set with their colleagues so that there's a more collaborative environment and there's more social aspect to data sharing and things like that. So make it easy to share data. You don't have to be, in order to share data, I download the whole data into an Excel file and I email you the Excel file. That's actually the most insecure way to share data. So if people can focus on improving these 4 ability to find the data, access the data, integrate the data, and share the data in a secure way, that is going to have a huge impact. And that's where the Denodo platform really comes into play. Denodo platform is a logical data integration, management, and delivery solution that provides a single point of access for all users to quickly find, query, integrate, and share data from one or more data sources through abstracted, unified, business-friendly views using a standard interface. So the underlying data complexity, how data is stored in the primary source systems and how those systems are different from each other is completely hidden. And it allows IT the flexibility to modernize the backend systems without affecting the business users so they can move the backend data warehouse from old legacy systems to the new cloud data warehouse platforms, and the business users completely invisible from business users. So business users can continue to work on their application. So this type of, essentially with Denodo, we allow organization to acquire timely, trusted, integrated information for faster analytics. And the whole idea of analytics is so that you can make informed decisions, so you can act on that analytics. So just like a data that is not analyzed is a wasted asset, analysts, insights that are not acted upon is a wasted effort also. So that's what we allow the people to do.
Perfect. To kind of sum it up, so for organizations to have these four key capabilities of the ability to find data, provide access to data, like you mentioned, and data integration and sharing the data with key stakeholders in a secure way is of, like the most crucial importance. So that's good to know. So could you share a case study or a use case where an organization has benefited from cloud modernization?
There are many use cases today, so I don't want to, kind of single out. And in fact, the use cases also kind of like essentially people are using Denodo for a combination of use cases. So three key use cases are cloud modernization and migration. So Denodo allows, as I mentioned before, it allows data abstraction decoupling from the source system. So you are able to move those systems, modernize those systems without impacting the business users. A lot of people use Denodo for that purposes, but that's just getting initially started. Once they actually have started, as you mentioned, people are adopting multiple clouds, right? And each cloud is a kind of like its own data source. And different services in the cloud or different applications as a different data source. So then there's a ability to provision data quickly from multiple sources to get a unified view. Data integration becomes the naturally, they progress from adopting Denodo for cloud modernization and migration to using Denodo for cloud data integration. And once they figure out, I can integrate data, but guess what? Denodo gives me a lot of ways to publish data or share data. Then they look at the functionality we provide for data services and APIs. Then they start using it to share data to essentially take their monolith application, legacy application, and modernize that application along the microservices line. And that's where they use Denodo data services and APIs to break up the monolith and modernize the applications for the cloud. So those are the three use cases, but essentially these are the also adoption maturity also that our customers use. Essentially start with one of these use cases and they branch out into other use cases. So a lot of our customers they get started with any one of these and then they branch out.
That makes sense. So thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us about Denodo Cloud Survey and how it benefits organizations, Syed. Before we conclude, we have a short rapid fire round for you. So are you ready for it?
Yeah, I'll try to do my best.
Awesome. So very quickly, so what is your favorite book or a TV show that you would recommend to our audience?
I don't watch a lot of TV nowadays. In terms of favorite book, I don't know if it's an old book, 1984 by George Orwell. In my mind, this book was ahead of its time. It's much more than a book. It's a novel of huge social and political significance. In my opinion, it's always going to be relevant, especially in the age of digital surveillance. Is the big brother watching you?
Of course.
That is my favorite book.
Wonderful. I've actually just started to read it, so I will let you know how that goes. So wonderful suggestion. And my last question for you is, what is your all-time favorite travel destination if you had to pick one?
Oh, that's a difficult one. If I have to pick one, the ancient sites in Egypt are some of the most historically important and awe-inspiring destinations. So I'm a little bit of a history buff, and that's why my favorite is Egypt, because you see an amalgamation of Egyptian culture, Greek culture, Arab culture. So it's amazing melting pot, and you can see the entire human history through all these cultures and monuments and things like that, how it impacts the older civilization. So it's fantastic.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Syed. This was an awesome session indeed. And thanks again for joining us for this episode.
Thanks for having me here. Great.
Perfect. So, and always a quick message to our listeners. If you enjoyed this episode, please head over to www.denodo.com/podcast to find out more resources on all things data.